Well, it's my pleasure to bring up one of my favorite people in the kidney community. And we both have matching backgrounds, so it looks so wonderful. I think that it's Cher and I have been friends for many, many years. And one of the topics that always comes up is how do I look my best with kidney disease? Because we all know we have the little bumps and bruises and swelling and body image issues that can come up with medication. So it's my pleasure to introduce Cher, and she's a kidney transplant patient as well. And she's gonna bring on her panel. So welcome, Cher.
Super. Thank you, Lori. It is wonderful to be here, and thank you for having me address this subject. It's so important to me. And, from my own perspective, I happen to be a dental hygienist, and I just like to throw out there that a smile is the first thing that people see. And, that is one good positive thing that you can do towards your own body image. And, either seeing a dental professional or even the crest strips over the counter, that's a good option, right? And brushing with a soft toothbrush. I know everybody thinks that they need a hard one, but it can make your gums look worse than what they did. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and start with our first panelist, who is an expert of her own. I've known Wendy Rogers for a number of years. She's a beautiful person inside and out. And Wendy, yes, the love is here. Would you please share with everybody just a little bit of your story?
Yes, thank you, Cher. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I have lupus, and that's what brought me to the kidney community and the dialysis chair and later the transplant table. It was a very serious experience for me. I was diagnosed in 2000 and spent 6 months in the hospital fighting for my life. So I had several surgeries. I had a whole appearance change. It was so different that I wasn't even believed to be myself when I showed my ID. So I had a huge change to my appearance because of my experience.
Thank you, Wendy. I went through the same thing. I have an autoimmune disease similar to lupus, and I know the treatments can, for many of us, regardless of an autoimmune disease or not, if you get a little bit of prednisone, your face can swell up like a blowfish. And so what are some things that you did to feel more at ease with the public who didn't believe who you were, or with yourself looking into the mirror? Because that can be a little shocking. How is it that you helped with your own self-confidence?
I have to say I lost every strand of my hair, and that was the biggest change for me. What really jolted me from being so hard on myself was one day my mom, told me, I would rather have you here with no hair than to be not here with a head full of hair. And that really honestly changed my perspective, because I thought, this is the person who really loves me, and I should love myself like that. And, there's so many things out there that you can do to your hair. There's wigs and all kind of things. And I told myself, I guess it's time to have some fun. So I actually I have 2 beauticians. Today my hair is braided. So I have a person that braids my hair, and they actually went on the journey with me to learn lupus and find ways to protect my hair and my scalp and make myself look good. And so it was really convincing myself first that I was okay with this change, and I was gonna be okay, and that there was a lot out there that I could explore.
Sure, absolutely. And I always tell people that a little bit of mascara and a little bit of lip gloss goes a long way, does it not?
It does. And I love makeup. I really love lipstick. I'm a MAC lipstick lover, not to promote MAC, but it does make me feel better to have a little bit of makeup on. And that's been fun to do.
So have you had any experiences in the dating community, and any advice that you would give people for dating?
Yeah, I think when it comes to dating, you have to decide, what you're going to put out there, what you don't want to put out with. I will be open and honest. I think the scar on my arm from doing dialysis was always the shocking thing. I don't know if other people felt like that. And over the years, I was kind of shy about saying that because I thought, oh, here comes a whole story about how I got this scar. But something I really did learn to do is change it as a symbol of honor and pride. I'm not a tattoo person, but I see it as like my tattoo of victory. And I try to see it like that and change my story where it was something, I shared with people in my journey that was something I had accomplished, not, like, oh, now I'm like this broken person. I try to use it as a symbol to show people how strong I was and how wonderful I was because I made it through this type of stuff. So it has helped me out a lot, honestly, kind of weeding out people because, it really lets you know who your friends are and who can stand up to this, who can't. And so I feel like it's actually been a blessing for me.
That's awesome, Wendy, and
Mhm.
such a great attitude. I live on an island in the Gulf of Mexico, and I have a huge scar on my leg, and I tell people that I was bitten by a shark. So, it's not
I live in
true.
California, and I will honestly say when I did my student teaching in Redondo Beach, all of the kids thought that's what happened to me, that I was bitten by a shark.
That's great. Thank you, Wendy. We're going to go
You're
ahead and
welcome.
transition to our next speaker, Aaron Battle. So as you have questions for Wendy and the rest of the panelists, I would like to invite you just to put your questions in the chat, well, not in the chat, in the Q&A, but we'll find them wherever they are. But I'm sure people have questions coming up, and as you do, please just type them in. So welcome, Aaron. I've known you for quite some time now, as well as Wendy, and it's always great to sit down and have a chat with you. You are a wonderful advocate for patients with kidney disease. Like Wendy, you've been around for a while. You have a transplant too, right? And I remember whenever both of you got your transplants. But would you mind sharing briefly a story about your kidney journey?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Aaron Battle, and as Cher said, I have been an advocate for kidney disease for, I'm going to say, over 20 years now. I've been a peritoneal dialysis patient as well as in-center, and now I will be 15 years next year with my transplant. And it's going very well. I've had no problems with the issues. I am a wellness ambassador for the Rogosin Institute in New York City. And I continue to do the advocacy work to make sure that patients are educated in understanding how to live well with this disease. So that's a lot of the things that I do. I am also a singer and an actor, and I have been lucky enough to continue to do those things while I was on dialysis, as well as, of course, now that I'm with my transplant.
Okay, so being an entertainer, whenever you go to get a gig or a part in a play, that's an audition, right? And
right.
That's like going for a job interview. You're meeting somebody for the first time. What is it that you do to prepare for that?
Well, it certainly is, Sharon. It's like a job. It is a job.
It is a job.
It certainly is a job, and the things I do are really the same things that anyone does. I have to have a resume. I have to have a photo, which most people don't have to have, and also be aware of what it is that I'm doing. I have to have the expertise in whatever it is I'm trying to get, and sometimes there are, not only in the acting world or the performance world, but in the regular world, people have opinions about people who have an illness. And you have to be able to, I don't want to say persuade them, let them know that you're capable of doing what it is that you're coming there to do. And sometimes we don't feel that we're able to do that. So that's one of the things when you go in for those calls or in there for that interview, that you actually represent yourself and as somebody who's willing to work and that um, this illness is not going to stop me from doing the job that I'm coming to do. Now, of course, hopefully you will be working for somebody who will understand some of your limitations, and that's why they've called you in. Um, as Cher was saying, I am an actor. It's a really different thing, and I'm glad you brought up teeth because that was in my that was that was definitely something that I said because we know that as dialysis patients we have issues with our teeth because of the illness. And being a person who has to smile and a person who is in front of the public all the time, it certainly is something that you have to watch and look and take care of. For me, too, one of the issues was my skin color. I actually darkened a lot. And I didn't recognize it until I saw photos of myself. And back to back or with other people, the fact that my coloring was so much darker than it normally is. I mean, it's back to
Uh-huh.
another browner hue, but it was really quite dark, and I was concerned about that. That concerned me. And as Wendy was saying, people didn't think I was the same person if I showed an ID with the other, and also um, the arms. Being a performer and it's like being a swimmer. The arms and also some of my surgeries for the peritoneal dialysis catheter and the transplant now, I can't wear a bathing suit on screen. It's just not, they would like, no, 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 you can't do that. It's not going to happen. Your arms, I usually wear, I can wear short sleeves, but most of the time I have to wear long sleeves. And I have a graft on my right lower arm, which looks like the biggest vein in the world because the graft I never had got to use it, and of course those days they weren't really happy about taking things out. So
Right.
I just tell everybody, oh yeah, it's just a big vein.
So
Just a big
tell
vein.
me, how do you keep fit and slender? I mean, I've known
Oh,
you for years. I haven't seen your body type change much. What's your secret? What do you do?
I have to say this that I'm lucky. I really am.
Are you?
It's a part of my genetics. Um, I don't know why. I'm not a dieter. I was a dancer for 10 years too, or 10, 15 years. But I walk a lot, a great deal. After the transplant, I did gain a little more weight than I normally I've ever gained in my life. And I'm a little heavier now. I'm getting older too. The doctor's yelling at me, you need to put more weight on you. You're getting old. So it's certainly one of the things that I look to. But I take care of myself. I walk. I don't look at my diet. It's not good. For me. It's good for me, but I eat everything and anything I want, and that's terrible. It's kind of
Oh,
terrible.
wow. You're very lucky. You
Yeah,
are very
I
lucky.
am.
Well, Aaron, always, it's a pleasure. Everybody, he will be around for Q&A at the end, and we are going to thank Aaron for answering the questions, and we're going to go ahead and transition to David. And David is a longtime supporter for Renal Support Network. He's been working with us for years. And David, welcome. It's good to see you here. I know you're a transplant recipient. I know you recently had surgery yourself, but why
Right.
don't we start out with you just telling us a little bit about yourself?
All right. Thanks, Sharon. Appreciate it. Yeah, my name's David Trujillo. I've had 4 kidney transplants throughout the lifespan. My first one, I was actually diagnosed with renal dysplasia at 3 months old. From there, my parents, didn't know what to do. They took me to the hospitals and people couldn't figure it out until finally, my dad always tells me this story that he ran into, an angel ran into him, a doctor, ran into the hallway and told him, you need to take him to UCLA. So there they took me. And at 3 years old, from 3 months to 3 years old, I was on peritoneal. And at 3 years old, I got my first transplant from my father. And after that, I ended up, having, kidney fail throughout the years. I had a second one from my uncle, and then a third one from my aunt by marriage. And
Wow.
then the most recent one was 10 years ago now. And it was actually my little brother, Dustin. He stepped up to the plate and he was going to donate. I know. He's my hero. they all are my hero, but
My
but he
brother
stepped,
was my donor, but he was my older brother. But that's awesome. Keep going. Keep going.
yeah, he was my younger brother, and he stepped up to the plate, and we got there, and they actually said, hey, this little girl, my brother was going to donate for a little girl, Amy, and they said, your brother's actually a better match for her, and her dad's best friend is a better match for you, so how about we do the pair exchange? And
Oh,
we ended up doing it that day, and like I said, 10 years now, it's been good to me, and we still can keep in contact with the recipients, and we're just one big kidney family now. So
that's awesome. That is awesome. And I know you're a family man, and I know you're a tattoo artist. So
yeah,
tell me, how did you end up in that profession?
it's something that goes back to my childhood in the hospital, to be honest. I always, would draw cards, and being in the hospital and not being able to have contact. I mean, this was back in the day when, we didn't have FaceTime and all that stuff. So I would draw, cards for my little brothers, or, my sister, and the nurses, the other patients in there. And just from being in there for so long and keeping my skills as an artist to keep drawing and drawing, I took that throughout the years, and I, went to school and, took sculpting classes in college, and art classes. And one day my friend just told me, hey, you want to go with me to a tattoo shop? And, I'm gonna get a tattoo. Sure, why not? And, as I was there, the owner said, hey man, you draw really good. Why don't you, apply to be an apprentice? And, the rest is history. But I love art. It's something that, like the rest of us, just keeps us in tune and kind of distracted from our illness. We just need something to focus on and something to put our energy towards.
And you struggled some, you've shared with me growing up about body image. Can you share that a little bit? And then
Oh, yeah.
tell us how you met your wife.
Yeah. So growing up was really hard. I'm not sure about the rest of everybody, but I was teased a lot. I mean, when I started high school, I was 4 foot tall. And that's, being at the pinnacle of your age, where you're, excited for high school, excited for school. And I was teased a lot. But it definitely made me grow a backbone. Made me grow up to realize, you know what, I'm going to embrace this illness, and it's not going to get me down. And it's going to be something that is going to push me forward to, break barriers and not allow me to, feel sorry for myself for anything. But, with all our scars and everything that we, like the rest of the panelists and stuff, I feel like what Wendy said, it's almost an honor and a proud thing to have our scars, to have our, grafts and stuff. It's definitely something to me that is, like a battle wound, to show that, I did it, I overcame it. And you know what, we got through it. So the way I met my wife is actually a funny story. I was at the tattoo shop, and for some reason I was a lot younger and a lot skinnier then, but I was tattooing without my shirt on, and I have, from 4 transplants, tons of scars and on my stomach. And, we're sitting there, and she walks in, and I told her that I got bit by a shark.
That seems to be a common theme.
It does.
I thought I was alone.
Yeah, and she believed me for many, many years, and I forgot to tell her that it was a lie. But yeah, so she's been amazing. She's an amazing woman, and she's been there. She used to sleep in the car while I was on dialysis. Take me home, and she's just a wonderful person. So just like the rest of my family, that's all donated to me. They're just beautiful people. So.
Well, that's cool. With Renal Support Network, one of the programs that we have is a Get Creative program. And if you have a gift towards art, or an interest towards art, or you just need an outlet to create something, it helps create all these endorphins. Don't you feel like that way whenever you're making art, that it makes you feel good? And it's not just things on paper, it's making jewelry, or wearing jewelry, or, wearing like a cute little hat. Like, how could anybody have a frowny face with
that hat? Exactly. I need to get one of those.
I mean, it is right. Look at you smile. There you go. Yeah, yeah. It just makes you feel all bubbly inside, and it creates all
Absolutely.
these endorphins. And David, I want to thank you. Hang around for the Q&A. I'm
Of
sure
course.
people will have questions for you. And next, we're going to transition to Jeffrey. And Jeffrey is a wonderful friend of mine. We haven't been friends that long, but we are becoming friends fast and steady. And Jeffrey is a veteran and a Air Force veteran. And Jeffrey, I would like to thank you for your service.
Thank
I
you.
come from a long family of veterans myself. I actually am the wife of an Army guy, but I know you're Air Force, so I will not confuse the two. I know there's always a little rivalry in between the different branches. But Jeffrey, I know you have a unique story here, but would you mind just briefly explaining your encounter with kidney disease and kidney cancer?
Yeah, it really wasn't kidney disease per se. I was in the Air Force. I'm a Vietnam era veteran. And of course, Vietnam had the Agent Orange, and they're still researching it, and they're finding more and more vets like myself have been affected, even though I was Air Force and not a combat troop. And one day I was playing golf and got new glasses, just like I got new glasses now, but got new glasses, played golf. It was the worst game I've ever had. My depth perception was completely off. I kept divoting. I think I had to reseed the whole golf course. But at the end of the game, my side was hurting. And I thought it was from the game. So I went to the doctor, went to a walking clinic. And this walking clinic looked at me and he says, "No, you're fine as far as that goes, but we're finding something." They did a X-ray and CT scan and everything, and they said that there's something in your right kidney, and you aggravated it, but it might be the best aggravation that you ever did to your kidney, because kidney cancer can be a deadly silent kidney disease. And it turned out this tumor was so big, the doctors didn't even want to do they didn't even want to check to see if it was malignant or tumor or, or anything. They advised me just to get the whole thing out and do a nephrectomy so it doesn't spread to the body. And he took it out. I was left with one kidney. I had my left kidney. And the left kidney was doing all right for quite a few years. And then all of a sudden, it was developing a cyst in it. And the cyst, everybody kept saying, "Well, watch it. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. We're going to just watch it." The day after my birthday was the worst day I ever had. The cyst imploded in my left kidney.
Oh, goodness.
I thought I was having a heart attack. The hospital, of course, I went to Blake Hospital. They didn't think at first it was going to be cancer, because they had to do their own investigating like any doctor's group, They thought it was appendicitis, that the other doctor called it wrong. There was no blood. It turned out to be a cyst that actually imploded and destroyed, and they had to put coils around the kidney so I didn't hurt anymore.
Wow.
But it was hard to accept at first. But for a while, even when I wasn't feeling well or anything like that, I did still do my sports things. I went to Disney. In fact, I had a transplant just recently, July 10th. I got my kidney transplant, and everybody said, "What's your goal? Go back to work full time?" I say, "No, I'm 68 years old now. I don't need to go. I don't want that." So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of satisfaction, as everybody knows, but it's a lot of work to get a kidney transplant. You have to do a lot of things and jump through hoops.
Sure.
So I did it, and they wanted to know why. So I told the VA psychiatrist rather, I want to go back to Disney and be able to stay there without having to go into dialysis 3 times a week.
Yeah, that's a great goal. And
Yeah.
Jeff, we're down to just about 1 minute. I want to ask you, because I know that you are an avid participant of the Be Fit While You Sit exercise
Mm.
class. And I just wanted to know, how did you end up deciding to want to do that? And what is it that you get out of it? What is it that you could recommend? Why would other people want to do it?
Well, when you give up and do nothing, when you don't have motion, the body stops. When you do motion and do things, the body keeps going. So I went ahead and joined it. So I wanted to stretch out and do the different exercise. The camaraderie didn't hurt any, it's nice for socialization and such.
Mhm.
And it made me feel better. In fact, I'm also a myasthenia gravis patient, which also affects your muscles. And by doing those exercises, one of a few transplant recipients that have myasthenia gravis that got through the program successfully, and I fooled them all at the transplant. And he said, we were all worried because of myasthenia, you're going to have to go to ICU afterwards.
Mhm.
But then when the doctor when I woke up, the surgeon came up to me and said, how you doing? I want a quarter pounder. Now, Tampa General has a McDonald's in their lobby.
They do.
So I wanted a quarter pounder with cheese. And she says, is that what you want? The only thing you're complaining about? I said, yes. And she says, you're going to a regular room. I fooled them all. But
Thank you, Jeff. So
it's
we're
great.
going to go ahead and wrap up with Jeff. He's going to be around for Q&A as well. Thank you, Jeff. And we're going to jump in with our final panelist, Kristen. Kristen is a fellow moderator for support group that we have on the second Tuesday and the fourth Sunday of every month. And Kristen is a little different from everybody else in that Kristen has not started dialysis yet. She does have CKD, but she's not started dialysis yet. And Kristen, I'm going to let you briefly share a little bit more about yourself and your kidney journey so far.
Sure. I'm Kristen Rice, and like some of my fellow panelists, especially David, I am a lifelong kidney patient. I am close to 50 years old, and I was diagnosed with kidney disease when I was a toddler, and I don't know anything different but living with kidney disease. So at this point in my journey, I have been listed for transplant for close to 2 years. I'm non-dialysis, and I continue to just try and do whatever I can to keep myself as healthy and as active and keep life around here as a working mom as normal as possible, right? Depending on how your family defines normal.
That was a goal for my family as well, is just try to, I didn't grow up with kidney disease. I was 30, but the goal for my supportive unit around me was to keep things as normal as possible. But either you're going to need to start dialysis or get a transplant, and you may get a preemptive transplant. But I know you've already had a couple of surgeries and you dealt with those well, efficiently. But tell us, I know one was on your hand. So being able to wash your hair must have been a struggle. But what are some beauty tips that make you feel better that you can do even whenever you're having some type of a little surgery mishap, which chronic people do? If you have a chronic illness, things pop up.
Things pop up, right? Life happens. So like Wendy, I'm a big Mac girl. I try to dress up and put on appearances most days. Like I said, I work in corporate America. There are a few people in my work who I am truly authentic with and know my situation and know what I'm going through. But I don't want everybody I work with to know that I'm a kidney patient and that I'm dealing behind the scenes with a chronic medical condition. Like Aaron said, I want to show up and present as my best self and be Kristen the professional versus Kristen the kidney patient who is working and doing all this other stuff while managing her kidney disease. So some of the things I do, my nails, I like having fancy fingers. I've had, like Cher said, I've had 2 unexpected significant surgeries back to back summers. And literally after both of them, the first question I asked my surgeon, I was like, so when can I go and get my mani-pedi? I had a hot pink cast on all summer. I was exposed from my knuckles out. I'm like, so any harm in me going and getting my nails done now that I'm in this protective shell for a couple of weeks? It's like, if that's what's going to make you happy, go do it. I had a hysterectomy last summer, and as soon as I was up and around and able to sit in one spot for a while, it was the same thing. Like, can I go and get a mani-pedi? And like, go get the mani-pedi. So things like that. Aaron mentioned walking. I try and do a lot of walking through, conversations with my RSN kidney friends, my fellow panelists. I have a sense of what's coming down the pike for where I'm at, right? I know people who have gone through dialysis. I know people who have gone through transplants. So I'm trying to do as many things as I can now to keep myself in the best physical and mental mindset as I can. So when those new challenges and hurdles do come up, I'm prepared for them, and I'm in a good place where I'm physically prepared, in the best physical condition I can be in for what comes next. And I'm in a good mental position to not just for myself, but for my family, for my colleagues, and for the people, around me who depend on me.
So who keeps you mental? Do you have a family?
I have a family. I have a husband, 2 fur babies, and a teenage daughter. So they keep me mental. They make me mental, depending on the day. But what Cher mentioned, the things I do to keep myself prepared, and some of the short and long-term goals. And right now, I have a daughter who is in the process of applying to college. She's looking at, she'll be out of my house sometime next year. And I have spoken openly with my medical team about, hey, short term, if at all possible, like my real short term goal, what I worked out with my doctor was, I would like to go on a family trip to Disney at the end of the year, because we haven't gone on vacation in 3 years because of COVID and 2 consecutive summers of surgery. I said, I think we can avoid dialysis before the end of the year, before I do my first family vacation in 3 years. And she looked at my lab. She's like, yeah, I think we're good. We can do that. Make your reservation. We're good on that. Okay. Thinking longer term, and I'm a planner. I said, look, in an ideal world, and I know it may not work out that way, I would really like to get my daughter off and settled in college before I take on dialysis or before I take on a transplant. That's the next major family milestone that's coming up for us. And she said, let's play it by ear. Let's keep looking at the labs. Let's keep tracking where you're at and keep having this conversation. And if I can get you to that point, and that's a point where I have less mom responsibilities, less family responsibilities. She's like, look, we'll see if we can make it happen. I'll do what I can to help you achieve that goal. Okay.
Super. Thank you, Kristen. So we are ready for the Q&A section of today. I know somebody mentioned about hair loss as well. I know that one thing that happened to me was whenever I was diagnosed, right? I did like chemo. I blew up like a balloon because I had an autoimmune disease that was like Wendy, going crazy, right? And my body changed overnight. And I did. Whenever I went on dialysis, I started losing hair. Whenever I did chemo, I lost hair. And for me, I'm from so long ago, I had my transplant 23 years ago. I was put on cyclosporin, and cyclosporin does lots of nasty things. But one thing it does is it gives you a lot of hair, as you can see. And so for me, my body is not as fit as what it was, but I try to make the most of what I have. I try to make my assets the best. I know some people take biotin. Wendy, other than wigs, what would you recommend?
Well, I didn't really do well with the wigs. I felt like I looked like the granny. I wasn't the best at picking them out. I think if I go back, I should have done like the Beyonce long look, just come out like, diva. Um, and I didn't really take a lot of supplements. I do think being on renal diet, vitamins, and I was really more centered on just trying to get lab stabilized, make sure I was taking medications properly, drinking water, and really trying to stay positive because it was so life changing for me. I was really working more on a mental wellness than a physical one at first. So I wasn't too hardcore on that, but I do love a good hair weave. Like right now I have my hair braided. It's a great, easy, style because I love to swim. So I did a lot of swimming as well. And so I really worked with my stylist on doing stuff like that that wasn't really hard on my hair. As a Black woman, it's a lot of work for our hair. So I really worked with stylists to try to see what could help my hair rest as it grew back. I rocked a like short natural style and I was so upset and so, uncomfortable at first. And now it's all in style. I'm like, man, I was a trendsetter and didn't even know it. I look
You're
at that
always
now,
a
like been there,
trendsetter,
done
man.
that. They do the big chop. I had that, it wasn't a chop, it just fell out. So I didn't even realize I was ahead of the curve.
There you go. And of course, we have a question about tattoos. Now, we have to recommend that if anybody's interested in a tattoo, you have to check with your medical team. But David, is there, being a tattoo artist yourself, what are things that they should be looking at what makes a clean environment? Are the supplies disposable? What kind of questions would they ask their nephrologist?
Okay. I think you should ask your nephrologist, one, if the time length between, whether you're on dialysis or a transplant, the last I heard it was a year. So and that's even to donate donate a kidney. My wife tried to donate to me before, and they said that you have to wait at least a year before, after you got tattooed, you have to wait at least a year to give a kidney or even to receive one. So I would ask with your nephrologist just to check the time length and, if it's going to harm you in any way, because, you always have to worry about bacteria and infection. With a tattoo shop, if you go to a shop, I highly recommend a shop. Obviously don't get it out of somebody's garage or anything, but, always, with me when I tattoo, just because the way I am and just, cleanliness and how, we are as patients, I always do single-use everything, single-use needles, single-use tubes, everything wiped down, always cleaned. You want to make sure that, you have an artist that does clean everything or has an autoclave. And share, how to clean instruments properly and just to make sure that everything has germ-free, bacteria-free, the shop is clean, but yeah, I would just double check with everything. The last thing you need is an infection, as a patient. So.
Absolutely. Thank you, David. So we have a question in the Q&A. Latanya wants to know from Kristen, do you make a daily schedule?
I do. I'm a big planner, so I try and get up, have my morning routine, get things done. That varies on whether or not I'm going into my corporate offices or not. So I do. I'm a big task person. So here's my morning routine: get up, hair, makeup, breakfast, commute, not commute downstairs to the commute. So, and I find having a daily schedule, it also helps me work in things like my exercise and plan a little bit more. Like I'm going to have more energy on these days. I'm not going to have as much energy on these days, just so I can get a sense of where I'm at and where the family is at for that matter too. So.
Super. So we have a question in the chat, and this is going to go to all of you. And so if you have an answer, just wave your hand around, okay? Do you have a brand of clothing that you like to buy or a style? And this goes for the men and the women.
I mean, for me, I dress according to how I have my body image. I mean, I have tattoos everywhere. So obviously I wear, backwards hats. I have my ear. I mean, I just wear what is comfortable, what's comfortable for me and what I like. It's, we tend, especially in our body image, we tend to overlook how much we really need to love ourselves, and really appreciate ourselves. So I say not necessarily a brand, but just whatever you think you look beautiful in, whatever you want to flaunt in.
Very good.
Uh,
I can, yeah.
I
Aaron, go
don't,
ahead.
I
jump in.
don't particularly have a brand either. Or I mean, my style. And people tell people tell me I dress very nice all the time, and why don't you ever wear jeans? But I do. But it's that sort of thing. But it's really just that. Whatever you're comfortable in. No, don't go after the trends. Some of those things don't work for everyone. Just get something that you think you look good in, and put it on. That's really basically it. It's about you. It's not about what's going on out there.
Sure.
I'd
Um,
also like to echo that for me, I don't really go after specific brands, but what I do like is color. Like learn what colors look wonderful on you.
Mhm.
I was just sharing with Aaron an event when he told me about the two colors I was wearing. And I look back, I was like, you know what, those two colors really did not work together. And I was not even thinking. I had my hair red and I was wearing a mustard coat. I thought, oh, that was so fabulous that he told me that because I wasn't even thinking. But I do like a pop of color. And the other thing is I started coming to Jesus about the heels I wore. I used to wear these stilettos and if it was beautiful, the last time I wore some shoes, I almost died in my older brother's wedding because I had to have those blinged out shoes. And I almost just like stopped the wedding. So I stopped doing that to myself. I really did. There's cute flats or wedges or whatever works for you.
Right.
Just stop it. Just stop. If you know you can't rock the heels anymore, don't do it,
Well, I have to say, I wear a lot of jeans, but I like the jeans that have a little bit of stretch to them. One,
Yeah.
whenever I'm having some swelling or put on a little bit of weight, it does make a little bit of allowance for you, but they also tend to look new longer. They have a better shape to them.
Yeah.
They don't wrinkle or crinkle as much as a regular jean, but I wear jeans a lot and I wear dresses a lot, like I'm wearing today, that are just very comfortable.
Also, I would definitely recommend a good yoga pant. Yoga pant, I love the ones with the pockets now. I was wondering why were you wearing the ones without? I'm probably late to the game, but there's so many beautiful things you can dress them up. You can be casual in them, and they do forgive if you gain weight and stuff. That's a good piece of clothing to have all the time.
Especially around Thanksgiving.
Right. Just stretch, period.
Right. Now, Jeffrey, you're just, how long have you had your transplant now?
Well, it's 3 months.
3 months.
Oh,
So
wow.
you're
3
still
months,
in the
10
nice,
days.
comfy, you're wearing some loose fitting clothes, or are you, I'm sure you're not back into suits yet.
No, no, I'm wearing my shorts and today a nice collared shirt.
Right.
But no, I dress comfortable. I like to go out walking and stuff, and I did just join LA Fitness through my Medicare insurance company that I have is through that Silver Sneakers. So I like to dress comfortably and go to the gym and just be careful how much I'm going to lift because I don't want to go over the limit to hear it from the hospital that you did too much.
Right.
So-
When you were in touch with your transplant team too, you didn't just start exercising, right? You let them-
Right.
you
I
let them
waited.
decide whenever it was time, right? Because if you have an incision, you're waiting for it to heal. We all have to be careful about that.
That's why I
Um,
just started. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Super. Well, I know that we have another presentation after this one today. I'd like to thank everybody. Lori, do you have any questions for the panel?
You know what? I think one of my big questions is, and I'm a big proponent of this, is when I'm in the hospital, I have a nice robe. You know, we need to look our best in the hospital too, if we're not on, septic and on a vent or something. But, but I know that when I feel better in the hospital and I, brushing my hair that may not have been washed, it makes a difference how I feel. So do you guys do the same?
I agree. I mean,
I do too.
there was one point I was in the hospital very long time, and the facial hair was growing, and the hair when they're bald. I had looked like Bozo the Clown, and it was just. And I also and I lost a great deal of weight. So it was, and Sarah was saying I'm thin anyway, and I really was a horrible sight. So I actually had some of my friends bring stuff to me, and so that I look better. And when I had the opportunity to shave and do those things, and it was 100, it made me feel 100% better. Although I didn't leave the hospital at that point, but it certainly is important that you feeling better while you're ill, or whatever you need to do, you should do it.
Yeah, I had friends that did the same for me when I was in the hospital. I was in there 6 months and they came and they had the waterless shampoo and even put some makeup. They did ask my medical team if they could do that, and they did that one day, and that was just so nice. I would have never thought to request it, and you're right, having stuff like that. And that's something I take away for home. I really look for comfortable PJs or lounge wear so that I feel nice when I'm down too. Lori actually told me something that I keep every day, and she just made the comment one time to me, I just try to get up, and I just feel better when I get up and at least put something on. If I'm not going anywhere, I'd rather be in a nice like house dress or sundress or something. And I try to do that every day. I really do. And I just like be Miss Grunge.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wendy and I got a little, we went shopping one time. We got in trouble.
Right.
We've all been shopping. Jeff, what do you have to say?
Well, that's why I'd rather go to the VA hospital than some of these private hospitals where you get a gown with hanging out and all that good stuff, because you get a full pair of nice pajamas when you go into the VA hospital, and I got pajamas with pockets and everything.
What?
And it does make a difference in being in those gowns.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's nice. That's really nice. I'm glad they're taking care of you, right? Kristen,
Yeah.
you had something to chime in?
Yeah, I'm gonna chime in with, dressing for the way you want to feel and the way you want to come across. Even on the days I'm working from home, I try and dress the way I want to come across to my colleagues. And this the same thing when I had my most recent surgery. The thing that made me feel the most normal and the best was once I could finally take a shower and
Yeah.
doing my hair. I had a rough stretch coming off the hand surgery where I was relying on my husband to do my hair. And it was a trying stretch of the marriage. Right. Man could not do a decent ponytail, and it was challenging. So, just having girlfriends come over and say, "Hey, I'm going to be on your side of town. Is there anything you need? Yes, I need you to stop by and put my hair up, please and thank you." Those little things that help you feel like yourself, taking a hot shower, dressing the way you want to feel, and just keeping up with appearances. So like you look and you feel normal and you feel good. You feel good even when you might not feel good.
You feel human.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like Kristen, I get my nails done. I have like the same beauty people for like 20 years. So it's a relationship. And I do see it as like a mental well-being too, because they know my journey. They've made even special accommodations. Like when I got my transplant, they opened the nail salon up at night and let me come alone. So I didn't have to they do single use things. And, so people, that are in the beauty industry will be happy to help you feel better, just let them know that type of stuff. You'll find some wonderful people to help you feel pretty.
Yeah, you can even
or just human, like Jeffrey said,
right? And bring them back and forth. And like David was mentioning about the autoclave, they will steam sterilize your instruments for you.
Yeah.
It's all about the safety.
I wanted to just say one thing because it's so true, Wendy. You know, when you have the same hairstylist, it's cheaper than a therapist.
It is.
And
Like my sister.
and you know, I had to have a catheter put in, you know, and I couldn't wash my hair the way I wanted to, and again, I didn't want to risk Kristen, my husband, drowning me in the sink, and so I survived too much to die by being waterboarded in the sink. So, you know, I just told her, she's like, come in, you know, and I'll just watch you in between people.
Mhm.
And it was, she didn't even want to charge me. You know,
Right.
giving you a tip. You know, I'm so appreciative because having your head washed is like the best thing ever. It just makes you feel better. So I think we could probably have to have a 2.0 on this.
Right.
I think so. I think so.
Well, it's wonderful. It's really great that you all are sharing your story. But you know, when you look better, you feel better. It just people, you just got to make an effort. And I'm at that age right now that I'm in QVC. Like I watch QVC once in a while, you know, because I need my shopping fix. And they have this dress brand, and I'm just FYI, Wendy.
Okay.
Attitudes by Renee.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna
And
jot
they
this down
make a
just for
crop
research.
dress because I'm short. They make a crop dress that makes full length for me. But they're so colorful and pretty, and I can just put them on, and they got pockets, and they're really comfortable. So I wore them all summer. And last night, many of you know, one of our long-term advocates, Mandy Trollinger, came by, and we had dinner out back, and she brought her daughter, and her daughter's like, your dress is so pretty. And I mean, here's a little 5-year-old, and it's just a dress that you know, it's got pretty colors, but it makes other people happy when you are wearing happy stuff.
Mhm. And I love earrings too. They make a difference too.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when your face is changing or whatever. I love a good earring.
You
I
know,
like the
this one
dangly
right
thing.
here, if you have a short round, like I have a little round face, right? It's best to wear a long earring. You know, I actually make jewelry, so there's a whole science to what kind of jewelry you should wear for the face you have. Yes,
That's a
Kristen.
good tip.
You know, Lori, I know you love quotes, and I have actually two of my favorite quotes actually come from different designers. So one of them is from the late great Kate Spade, and she said, "Be happy, be bright, be you," and that's one of the quotes I live by. And the other one came from Lily Pulitzer, who is known for her bright, colorful clothing, and her other quote that I love is, "Anything's possible with sunshine and a splash of pink." Those are just two
It's-
things. I've got them sticking on the cubicle in my office, and there are things, you know, when I'm looking at clothes and I'm thinking about how I'm coming across, those are two of the quotes that inspire me for, you know, keeping my image up while I'm living with kidney disease.
Exactly. We are not our illness.
No.
Yeah, don't stay in black and gray. I love black and white, but don't stay in those color schemes.
Right.
Find your color to pop your wardrobe.
Well, if you do, pop some color in with it.
Yeah.
I think we got to wrap up, but Jeffrey had one more thing, and then
I just wanted to say, I thing that makes me happy is wearing Disney shirts.
Mm.
I actually have a Disney shirt that I designed, and can't say Disney, I get sued. But it's a picture of a pill bottle with Mickey and Minnie and Goofy coming out of it, and it says on the shirt, "These are my happy pills."
It's so
Cool.
true. It's, you know what, there's only one thing we can control in this life, and it's our attitude.
Mhm.
And it's so hard sometimes because we don't feel good, but you get more bees with honey.
Yes.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Cher. You did a fabulous job.
My
Oh, we
pleasure.
have this-
You know,
we
they
have
did it all.
Well, you got, you know, it's really wonderful. I love the candid talk like this. I think
Mhm.
we have so much information to help other people. Like you just roll with it, and life is too precious. So to not enjoy every minute by thinking, oh my God, I got a pudgy stomach or something. It's just not worth it, guys.
Right.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So yeah. And what, you know, was really interesting. I heard this one time because I was one of those person that had that committee in my head, and I would just I'd beat the crap out of myself. Like, oh, you're this, you're that. You know how you do that. And somebody said, you let them have free rent in your head. So whenever I think of that, I like, I guess I'm a money per dollar person. And I'm like, they're actually taking up half of my brain. And that's some really prime real estate that I could be creating or doing something else with. And that's kind of my mental little gymnastic that I do. Like, they're not going to take my fun away because my shoes don't match because it's the only shoe I can get on.
Right.
Stuff like that, because I want to go out and enjoy life. And if my shoes are slippers, oh well. So anyways.
Great.
Well, wonderful, everyone. And a shout out to our corporate mission partners for making this happen.